My name is Andrej Braguca, and I am a co-founder of a company called Virtual Lab. In Virtual Lab, what we do is that we implement virtual and augmented reality where it makes sense. So basically, it usually saves money or time, or it makes money, or it helps people in any other way. So that's the one that I like the most, that it helps people usually. Uh, uh, for the VR, there are many things that are said about it, but I'll try to keep it to the basics. So, for example, the most important thing is to know why virtual reality works on your brain, basically. And it's a bit something that said Klaus. So it affects your vision because there are two lenses that are streaming a visual content onto your eyes. For example, like 50% of your perception neurons in your brain are vision based. So just from uh, uh, having VR headset where you can see something, like 50% of your brain is taken up in VR. But it's not all. Also, it affects your hearing because there are usually built-in built-in speakers. So usually the sounds are also spatial, so you can hear the things from different sides. And also, as Klaus said, there is a haptic feedback so that you can feel something. And usually it is through controllers, because you have controllers in your hand. When you touch something in VR, they usually vibrate or something so that you have this haptic feedback. But also there are gloves that do that. For now, the gloves aren't that good, but I've already seen some prototypes that are looking real promising. And also there is this connection of vision, hearing, and feeling that makes the whole picture or the whole application that really gives you the whole feel for it. In my opinion, what is the most important thing in VR training? I think we agree with, or I think Klaus will agree with me, but the most important thing in virtual reality for me is the experience. So the fact that you will experience something in virtual reality and your brain usually thinks that it was real is the most important thing in VR for me, because that's basically why I started with virtual reality. The idea was to give information through experience in virtual reality. So if we wanted to learn something, just learn it in VR. And we really quickly realized that there is basically not that big of a difference between virtual and real life training from the point of the brain, from the point of the view of the brain, because the brain thinks usually that it is really happening. So for me, the most important thing in VR is the experience. And now I would like to ask, maybe we could use the Mentimeter. How many of you have already had the strong VR experience? I think
I switched to Mentimeter. To the next question. Everybody who has Mentimeter still open, please answer the question, and I will share my screen for a short time. Then you can see directly the answers. So here we go. The question was, Andre's question was, have you already had a strong experience in virtual reality environment? And at the moment, Andre, it's almost 50-50.
Excellent, excellent. So we'll give them a bit more time if everybody has already answered. Yeah, it makes me really happy because like at the time that I started with VR, usually it was like 10 to 90. because virtual reality was like 5 years ago, still 5 years ago, virtual reality was really new thing for a lot of people, and usually they heard something about it. Most of it were things that weren't even true. But most of the people didn't even try it, and I'm really happy to see this percentage change throughout the time. And now I see that it's already 50-50 with the experience part. I think for this 52% of people right here with strong experience, I think you have everything that you need to know about virtual reality, because that's the most important thing for me. As Klaus said, we can be talking for hours here, and I can be telling you anything. But the most important thing is to try it for yourself and to feel the VR experience for yourself. Okay, so I'll start sharing my screen again.
All right.
And let's talk about some studies. So you would know that it's not just my opinion, but it's based on different studies all around the world. So the most, I think, the well-known study is from PVC for VR soft skills trainings, where they compared several different points of view. And for example, virtual training takes 4 times less time than real-life classroom training. But it doesn't take as much time as e-learning, or the difference between VR and e-learning is not that big. But you will see later what are the disadvantages of e-learning and advantages of VR in opposition to that. Also, there is a 40% more confidence in the trainees after the training. So if there was a training in a classroom, they would feel like a 166 more confident about the subject. If it was e-learning, it would be 179%, and with VR learning, there is a 245 more percent more confidence in this subject that you are trying or you are learning. Also, in this study, they found out that the biggest difference in all of the different different aspects, there would be a difference in emotional connection to the topic and in focus. And it's really the thing that confirms what I said, because emotional connection comes with strong experience. So if you have a strong experience in VR, then there would be a strong emotional connection. And usually it's more fun, and you wanna do it several times, just like VR training, opposite to normal training where somebody explains something to you. And also it was confirmed with the concentration, with the focus. As in e-learning, usually the focus is really bad because of the other elements, like usually mobile phones. Like if a smartphone, if you get a notification in smartphone, then usually it's the thing that distracts you. But you cannot get a notification in VR. In VR, your whole focus is focused on the things that you see. So it's really amazing in this way to see how many different advantages VR training has. And now let's get back to the Mentimeter. And like the first question for me, I picked 2 studies. One of them is virtual reality training that improved operation room performance. The study was conducted in Yale and in Queen's University in Belfast. And I think, Wolfgang, if you could read the question, the first question.
the next question is already open, and it is, how much faster do you think the surgeons were thanks to virtual reality training?
Yeah,
And
the comparison is between a group that didn't have a VR training and between the group that did have a VR training. So what do you think were the differences? Okay, so most of you think that it was 22%. And some of you think that it was 19%. So I'll switch my screen back on. And it was 29%. I think there was a misunderstanding.
I had a typo in the answers. My mistake, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay, Wolfgang, but it was actually 29%, so it was even more than what most of you thought. And there is one more question. Wolfgang, if you would.
Yes.
Yeah.
The next question.
So, and how many times do you think? How many times fewer do you think the participants in VR made less mistakes than the ones with the real life training? So, if it was the same, or if there were 3 times less mistakes or 6 times less mistakes? Yes, so I can see that most of you think it was 3 times. Yeah, I'll give it a bit more. So the difference is how many mistakes would make a surgeon. I don't know if I said it, but the training was conducted on surgeons. So how many mistakes would make a surgeon in VR and or surgeon that was trained in VR and surgeon that was trained some other way? And the right answer is 6 times fewer errors. So don't lay back. You can expect really great things from VR. And other study that I prepared was from Brigham Young University, and it was a development and analysis of VR technician trainings and methods. So it was a VR training for technical types, and the comparison was the difference between VR training of these technicians and difference between real life training for these technicians, which was taking place at the exact location where it happens. So the real life training was like really practical. So what do you think? How was the training in VR opposite to classic training? Was it the same, or were they better by 22%, the VR ones, or better by 34%? Okay, so most of you think. I can share the study with you if you want, right, later on. Okay, so most of you think that it was the 34% better. Okay, so I'll share my window, and this will probably surprise you, but the results were actually the same, because the VR training was exactly the same as the real life training. So it was the same for the technicians, for the outcomes of the training, but there were other differences, and the differences were in costs, in scalability, and in ability to iterate, because these exact trainings were really hard to conduct for the trainees, for them to meet up, for the materials and everything. So if you would compare real-life training and virtual training, the outcomes would be the same, but with the VR training, it is much cheaper, and the scalability is much more easier for the company. So it was a bit of a catch for you, but the difference is that, or what I meant to say with this is that virtual training is not always faster or better or something, but usually there are other advantages, not just by these numbers. And the last question I had for you was what they taught in this training. How many of the technicians preferred VR training opposite to normal training? Okay, so now I can see that you are much more cautious now that I that I tried to make a fool out of you with the same answer. Yeah, okay, so most of you think that it was like 50%. Yeah, I'll start sharing my screen again, and it was actually 85%. I think a big fact was that they were technicians, so they usually like to play with toys and with electrical things. So 85% of them preferred the VR training opposite to normal trainings. So I think that's also really interesting, and that's we are quite often cooperating with engineering companies, and that's usually the case with the engineering companies, that the employees really like to play with virtual reality. Okay, so this was for the studies. Also, I wanted to mention just a briefly part about hardware, because software is a really important thing in VR, but hardware is something that is also something that you cannot forget. So there are different types of hardware. For example, HTC Vive, Xtol. These are the glasses from Czech Republic, actually. Pico Neo 3 or Oculus Quest 2, and there are several tens, maybe hundreds of different headsets for virtual reality. Basically, so that I would tell you something useful, there are basically two types. First one, those are the ones on the left, the HTC Vive and the Xtol. Those are the glasses that are usually PC based. So you need a powerful VR ready computer or notebook that would run the application, and the headset works only as a way to visualize something. Not something, but the virtual reality. And on the right side, the Pico and the Oculus Quest 2, those are the headsets that are standalone, which means that all the computing power is in the headset. So you don't need any PC or anything else if the application is optimized and it's prepared to run on these headsets, then you don't need anything else and it will work just fine. So personally, my favorite right now is the Oculus Quest 2, because it's really, usually if I ask someone what they think about it, then they tell me that it's exactly what they imagined when they thought that virtual reality will be the future. Because with the Oculus Quest 2, everything you have to do is just to put on the glasses, and you have the experience that you need. You don't have to work with any cables or set up a computer or anything like that. Okay, so those were all the things that I wanted to say about the studies and hardware. And now I'll just briefly show you what we do in Virtual Lab and where we actually implement virtual reality. So in Virtual Lab, we have several different projects where we implement virtual reality, and for some of them are in soft skills. So we use virtual reality for the soft skills training. Usually it's a presentation skills or a communication skills. So like maybe sales meeting or something like that. Then of course hard skills, where it's usually used in engineering companies or in other companies of this sort, where it's used for the employees to train some procedures. Then we have our own application, Let's Meet VR, which is a virtual meeting space where you can train something or meet up with people and have a meetings in VR. EduPack, where we implement virtual reality in schools, and it's elementary schools and high schools and also colleges. And the idea is to give the students the experience in virtual reality. Also, we implement virtual reality in houses for the seniors, in hospitals, and we develop other applications that are needed for our customers. I'll show you some of the clips for our applications. First one is Virtual ICU, which is a virtual training space for the ICU medical staff, where they can train how to use different machines. So basically the idea is that in VR, where you cannot hurt the patient or you cannot hurt yourself, you can train anything that is needed to train. And if there is something that you need to repeat or something, you just press a button and everything is really simple and really easy for you. We came up with this idea because of the COVID situation, because in Czech Republic there was a big problem with a not enough medical staff on ICUs all around the Czech Republic. So this was the solution from our side that we think isn't just for the COVID, but it was at the time, I think it was really useful. So that normal medical staff can train on special devices that are used in ICU. Then we have our application Let's Meet VR. I'll show you just a clip for one of the meetings where the idea was to upload a 3D model of part of their machine and to specialize or to adjust some parts of it. Then we have a clip from our or from the application Neos Classroom, which we use in education, and the idea is quite simple. It is a environment where a whole class can meet up and experience something together. So it would be, as you saw, a picking up of a skeleton, or maybe you could see a, I don't know, a atomic blast in VR. And also we develop applications, and that's the most fun things for our developers is usually the ones that have something to do with hazard and safety. So for example, here you can see a brief demo of a application where it shows you what happens when you don't wear protective glasses. So a piece of steel will shoot up your eye. Yeah, so that's all from my side. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Andre. This was really a great presentation, and I definitely will wear my safety glasses in the future when I work on these machines. There were so many parts in your presentation, and I really learned a lot. We also got a question already from the audience, and the question is about the surgeon's example and study, and what was the control condition for the surgeons? Normally, surgeons train on corpses. Do you know?
Yeah. I don't know from my mind, but if you send me your email, I can send you a link for the whole study. No problem.
Okay, great. That's good. Thank you very much. And we have another comment. I read it. The audio-visual experience and the haptic feedback is the key for a good virtual reality experience. What about the preferences about graphics engines? proprietary or the intention to use licensed solutions from the gaming business like Unity, Unreal Engine, and so on?
What about preferences about graphic engines? Well, I think it's amazing that there are engines that are used for for example, Unity and Unreal both are really expanding in VR environment. So for more and more developers, it is easier to develop applications in virtual reality. So I'm not sure what exactly is the question, but I think both Unity and Unreal are amazing engines that enable a lot of people to start experimenting with virtual reality. And if the question is about the graphics itself, then from our experience, graphic side of the things is not that important. It is important up to a point, but after that, if the experience is good enough, then you don't really care about the graphics.
All right. Thank you very much. Do you have any more questions for Andre about this project, about the Virtual Reality Lab? Now is your chance. But of course, if more questions come up in the next days, we can forward them and we can share contacts. This is all possible in our project. Okay, then for now on, Andre, thank you very much. It was really interesting and great to hear so many good examples, and also the questions in Mentimeter were very interesting for us. Perfect. Now I will after this.
There is a question about the presentations, and I think from my side there's not a problem to share it. Sure.
Great. Thank you. And we will also talk with Klaus, if Klaus can share the presentation with us, and then we will forward to the whole group. Now I will. Okay.
I have a question too, Andre.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, really great presentation. I really loved it, and I was curious about the example you've shown us. Was it made for a standalone device or a PC-based one? Because I really love the graphics there.
All of these applications are made for these standalones, they have both versions. So the PC version and the standalone version. But that's basically our main thing right now, is that everything we develop, we try to make it on standalones because it is really easy and really nice to use for people.
Of course, I totally agree. It's very comfortable to use standalones. In the VR system we have in the simulator, it's just not possible because we have so many processes that run on the PC. But totally agree with you.